Hello, I'm Andrew Baker. I'm a composer and historical researcher, and for the Staffordshire Library's History Festival, I'm going to be talking to you about the music of Shugborough. Thomas Anson of Shugborough is a mysterious character. There are very few personal records of his life. During the 18th century, he built up his estate at Shugborough into a gentleman's villa set in an Arcadian landscape. When his brother Lord Anson died, he found himself unexpectedly wealthy. This allowed him to buy a great collection of classical sculpture and also to become a secret patron of the arts. When I started researching Thomas Anson seriously 12 years ago, the most important discovery was that he had been a friend and supporter of a composer and violinist, Antonin Kammell, or Anthony Kammell as he was known in England. This led to all kinds of other very important discoveries. Only last year, thanks to Gemma Roberts of the National Trust, a second musician associated with Shugborough came to light. Music is as important to the place as the landscape and the art. Antonin Kammell was born near Prague in what was then Bohemia. He came to London in 1765. He'd been trained as a violinist by the great Italian violinist Tartini in Padua. Soon after arriving in London, he became a friend of the greatest musician in London at the time, Johann Christian Bach, the youngest son of Johann Sebastian Bach. Bach led fabulous concerts, the first proper instrumental concerts in London. These had been started by Teresa Cornelis, a one-time mistress of Casanova. In April 1769, Thomas Anson launched his new house at 15 St James Square with a breakfast concert in honour of the Queen of the Bluestockings, Mrs Montague. This would be the first of a series of concerts that ran for the next 5 years. We know that Kammell was already working for Thomas Anson, because about that time he wrote this set of 6 duets for 2 violins, most humbly inscribed to Thomas Anson by his most grateful and obedient humble servant, Antonio Kammell. In the summer of 1769, a visitor, John Parnell, wrote in his diary that when he arrived at Shugborough he found all the local gentry enjoying music, and after supper more music. We don't know that Kammell was there that year, but it was quite normal for musicians and other artists to leave the city in the summer and stay at the country houses of their patrons. And I'm sure Kammell was well known at Shugborough because in 1772 William Bagot of Blithfield Hall sent a poem to Thomas Anson in London, looking forward to his return to the country. And he writes, "Bring Attic Stuart, Indian orm, Kammell unruffled by a storm shall tune his softest strain." Thomas Anson died in London on March the 30th, 1773. Antonin Kammell wrote home to Bohemia to say that his dear, good old friend, Mr. Anson, had left him 50 guineas yearly in his will. The Welsh botanist and travel writer Thomas Pennant wrote of Thomas Anson, "He was happy in his life and happy in his end. I saw him about 30 hours before his death, listening calmly to the melody of the harp, preparing for the momentary transit from an earthly concert to an union with the angelic harmonies." Thomas Pennant and his artist friend Moses Griffith were often at Shugborough. Last year, Gemma Roberts of the National Trust noticed amongst the watercolours by Moses Griffith one by Edward Jones. Jones was harpist to the Prince of Wales. Clearly Jones was at Shugborough long enough to paint a watercolour. He was also there enough to find a large number of subscribers to his important book published in 1784 of Relics of the Welsh Bards. The subscribers include several members of the Anson family, quite a few local gentry, James Stewart, the architect, and Mr. Kammell of Half Moon Street. And I wonder who Mr. Han of Little Heywood was. I've been unable to trace him, but in the second edition of this book, he's Mr. Han of Bath. Could he have been a travelling musician? Edward Jones made his first public appearance in London in 1775 with Antonin Kammell. It was also the first appearance in London of the pianist and composer Muzio Clementi. And this music that you can hear now is by Kammell, but arranged for the harp by Edward Jones.